Hello, it's Rob from Fountain Pen Journey with a Chinese fountain pen review. If you haven't seen this pen before, I'd be surprised. It's been around for quite a while. I think it came out in fairly early 2018 and it's proven to be very, very popular. This is the Moonman Wancai Mini. It's a tiny little pocket pen. It's a stubby little thing. This is the very popular mint swirl colour. It is available in a colourless clear version. I also have a frosted blue version, which is a very similar sort of colour to the swirls in this, which is translucent. But for the best part, I mean, I'm using this as a daily writer. It's a tiny little thing. Let me just get you an indication of size using. Let's use this one. Here's the Lamy All-Star Bronze. Here's the Moonman Wancai Mini. Focus. There we go. Tiny. In fact, it's not a great deal bigger than the cap of the Lamy. So let's talk about this pen a little bit in more detail. Very popular, and I think it's popular simply because it's quite an interesting little pen. It's a different design. I mean, there's plenty of pocket pens around, but this just happened to be cheap. It writes pretty well, and it was different. This mint swirl material is actually really, really lovely. I mean, I've got this filled with Diatramentis Midnight Blue, so that you can really see these swirls. Now, these swirls have got so much depth in this acrylic material. I mean, you've got this whole sort of 3D effect. Ribbons of sort of mint green, very pale mint green blue colour throughout the colourless clear material. I mean, you can see that there's a lot of ink in here. It's a demonstrator. Eyedropper. So you fill this, you fill the barrel of the pen with ink of your choice. It's not going to take cartridges or converters, so it's an eyedropper only. It's going to roll everywhere because there's no clip and no roll stop. There you go. Let it do its own thing. Pocket pen. Yeah, very, very small. Really, really quite, handleable. Very, very good from that point of view. I do like the fact that the material, which of course is going to be different in every pen, really does sort of swirl throughout the whole, well, all parts of the cap and barrel. So we've got a cap which unscrews. I'll just talk about the turns on this for a moment. So just unscrew the cap. Just over one turn. So screw on. Yes, that's it. That's all I'm going to say about that. Now, pocket pen. I'm going to talk about pocket pens because I do like them. For me, the ideal pocket pen is something that you can just whip out really quickly, take a quick note, and I'm talking just maybe amending a shopping list, just writing one sentence, just making a quick note of something in a to-do list, something like that. That's a pocket pen. To do that, I like to be able to quickly uncap the thing and write with it. I don't really want to have to post it. You can do if you must, but that's longer writing samples if I've got to post a pocket pen. Now this is the drawback of this pen. First one. Unscrew. I've now got to cap this, well, post it rather, and it's screw to post, and it's not, I mean, it doesn't take a lot to post it, but one. It's just less than one turn to post, and it makes this decent length pen. Here's the Lamy All-Star for size comparison. There we go. So yeah, substantial. Come on, focus. There we go. Doesn't like the Lamy All-Star, obviously. There we go. So yeah, decent sized pocket pen when it's been posted. It's very comfortable to hold. This whole barrel and the cap here is actually quite girthy. The section, thankfully, isn't anywhere near as thick, so that's actually quite comfortable to hold. It's comfortable in the hand. It's a decent length. Once you've posted it, just unscrew this. You can see you're going to be scribbling away, scratching away, trying to get the nib on the paper. Oh, it's just no. This one doesn't work. Some of them do. Kaweco Sports, yeah, you can just about write with those on posted. This one really you can't. But if you want a pen that's going to hold a lot of ink for long writing sessions, and it's comfortable enough, yeah, I'm not going to say any more about it. I mean, this material, yeah, it's great. I mean, the swirls, I mean, they're even going through the threads down into the section. So really, really, really lovely. Which is why this particular mint swirl material was so popular, and it still is. Steel nib, nothing fancy. This is a fine one. You can sometimes get the Moonman Wancai Mini with other nib sizes, but you know, it depends on the seller. It's more common to see it in the with the fine nib. Move this up a little bit. There we go. Get it back in focus. And yeah, it's a good little pen. It's cute. It's something quite unique from a material and general design point of view. I'm going to talk to you about the next issue, and that happens to be the quality of the nib, certainly the writing experience. I know a lot of people have bought this pen and are quite happy tinkering with it, and you do seem to have to tinker with it a little bit. I'm not talking major work, but out of the box, this nib was really dry. I mean, it was a fine nib. It wasn't scratchy, but it was just too dry to write with. I could not have done this review using the nib on a daily basis to get a good feel for the pen, because it was not good enough to write with. It wrote, but it was very dry. I mean, I was getting a very fine line, but it was a very unsatisfying experience. I mean, I've had this pen filled with Diatramentis Midnight Blue since day one, and you couldn't really tell what sort of colour what colour ink you've used when you wrote with this this nib initially. It was just some dark ink. It could be black, it could be blue, it could be pale blue. Who knows? It was insipid. So what I had to do, I had to use a brass shim, floss in between the tines of the nib, smooth it out a tiny amount on 12,000 grit paper, obviously checking the tine alignment, things like that, and this nib now writes really quite nicely. I mean, it's still a fine nib, but it now lays down a lot more ink, so it's a much more pleasant writing experience. It's smoother from that point of view because it is laying down enough ink to glide across most papers. We'll get straight into the writing sample because I know that you probably want to see that. Now, just talk about the posting. You uncap it, you rotate this bit round, and you almost certainly get ink all over your hands because you happen to touch the nib because it is such a short pen. I'll do the writing sample first, then we'll talk a little bit about the packaging. I don't know why Moonman, that's the manufacturer by the way, Moonman chose to call it the Wancai Mini. I mean, it's not like they do a Wancai, which is a full-size version of this pen. you know, it just seems a bit weird. So this is the Moonman Wancai Mini. This is the fine nib. The ink is Diatramentis Midnight Blue. And just do a quick writing sample down here. Steel nib, as I said, fine. It's stiff. You're not going to get any flex, line variation, nothing like that. And of course I have had to play around with it a little bit to make it right, wetter, smoother, but it wasn't scratchy or anything terrible out of the box. It just wasn't a great writing experience, so just bear that in mind if you are thinking of purchasing this pen. As far as the wetness goes now, I mean, this is a good actual good demonstration of how wet it is, and yeah, it lays down a decent patch of ink now after I've tinkered with the nib. So altogether, what can I say? It's a good little pen. I'm not going to say it's the best, and do be prepared for some minor nib work to get this pen writing how you want it to write. Pen's going to cause all sorts of problems with the focusing, isn't it? I'll hold it there. There we go. Would be nice if it wasn't round and rolled away everywhere, because, you know, just disappears off camera. It's a fun little pen. Now the packaging, depending on the seller, the packaging you get, and I don't go into packaging reviews and unboxings because I find them deathly boring. If you've got absolutely amazing packaging, then yes, it might be worth talking about. But, you know, who wants to see a cardboard box? You know, we want to see the pens. It's got a cardboard box with a label on, so what? It comes, the packaging that this pen came in was a sort of fairly generic, translucent, colourless box with a foam insert which contained the pen, space for some cartridges, which of course, you know, this doesn't take cartridges, so the seller didn't include a box of cartridges inserted into the case, and a eyedropper. Now, that eyedropper was a glass one with a bulb, rubber bulb on, specifically designed for filling this as an eyedropper pen. I mean, it's easy enough to fill. You just unscrew the barrel from the section, fill this with ink, not all the way, up to close to the threads, silicone grease the threads obviously to stop it leaking, and screw the section back in, and away you go. You've got a eyedroppered pen. It is that simple. There's no O-ring or anything on here, so you know, it's designed to be eyedropperable. That's the whole point of this pen. It's an eyedropper pen, and the seller included a eyedropper with it, which is great. The clear version, not the clear version, the blue version that I bought, pale blue green, I suppose, that actually came with very different packaging. It was a very similar box. There was an insert for the pen, but just laying in the box with no cutout for an eyedropper was a little plastic pipette, like a Pasteur pipette, or a Pastette, if you know them as those, which had, I don't know, I think it was a 3mm volume or something, so that you could use that to fill this pen. So some sellers, and both of the ones I got were from different sellers in China. I paid roughly £15 for each pen, including shipping from China. Now, the popularity of this pen has been actually so great that some of the Western pen stores, I'm going to relate to them, I know some of the online pen retailers in the UK, such as Pure Pens and Cult Pens, have or do stock this pen, and you pay a little bit more for it because it's here, it's in the UK, so you're looking at about £20 for this pen if you want to buy it from a UK based seller. I think Goulet Pens in America also sell it, but I'm not going to go through where you can buy this pen because you found this video on the internet, and I'm sure you're going to jump on eBay and have a look anyway. So I'm not saying buy from eBay, eBay. If you want to support your local pen stores, then please do inquire or have a look on their website and see if they stock this pen. It's a good pen. Does it get the thumbs up from me? I'm sorry to say this is a bit of a mediocre one. It's not a thumbs down, it's not a terrible pen, but for all the hype that it created, yes, it's lovely material, it's a little bit different, the design and the material, this mint swirl material is quite good. But does it warrant a purchase? I don't know. That's purely going to be up to you, whether you want a really nice little pocket pen that you may have to do some work on the nib with. It's an interesting one, and I think purely from that point of view it's going to have to be down to the individual to decide whether this is something that you want to actually buy or not. There are better pocket pens out there, even for a similar price. I mean, the Kaweco Sport, the plastic versions of that, the Ice Sport and the Skyline, similar sort of pricing, much better quality pens. Eyedropperable, and you can also install standard international short cartridges into those, as well as buying a converter, which is for the Kaweco Sport, which isn't particularly good. So you do have a little bit more option there. You also get a choice of nibs, which I'm very happy with Kaweco nibs. I've never had to tinker around with the Kaweco nib. So you've got that going against this pen. But if you do want this pen for the material, it's cute, it's stubby, it's well made. I'm not going to dispute that at all. It is a well-made pen. So I'm going to leave it up to you to decide whether you're going to buy this, because this is where I'm going to be a bit indifferent and give it a horizontal thumbs. It's not a thumbs up, it's not a thumbs down. It's purely going to have to be based on what you feel about this pen. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.